There are big fancy college words called oligarchy, plutocracy that folks tonight might want to look up. It's called rule by rich folks. And that's what we're dealing with. A bunch of rich folks, two rich people threw a fit online and threw the government upside down. That is not good for America. Now, did the bill go from big to little? What happened is that the bipartisan deal that got struck by elected officials of our country were overthrown by two billionaires throwing a fit, and it's not even January.
Scott, what's your take on that?
Well, if Van is concerned about unelected officials running the government, I would invite him to review the last 4 years of the Biden administration and maybe pick up the Wall Street Journal this week. We've apparently had a president that's so diminished that his staff has been hiding it from the American people and making key decisions on behalf of our government, despite never having been elected to anything at all. So if you're concerned about it tonight, maybe take a look over the last 4 years. Look, I think ultimately all's well that ends well. The government did not shut down. We're not in any kind of crisis over the holidays here. And when the Republicans get sworn in January and Trump comes to the office on January the 20th, they're going to have to come together as a team and decide, are we going to work together or not? That's ultimately how you get things done in a legislative body.
Hope you guys enjoying your holidays. This is Talks with Kenny. I want to kind of go over this narrative that the Democrats are trying to push, that the Republican Party is owned by oligarchs. It's an oligarchy, all this stuff. Unelected officials are running the Republican Party. And one thing I want to point out to you is that, as Scott Jennings has astutely pointed out, that we found out over the last 4 years, Biden was so mentally diminished that essentially his staff was running the presidency and was using Joe Biden as a figurehead. Yet they want to try to perpetuate this narrative that Donald Trump's a puppet. There's a tagline that I'm going to keep going with it when the Democrats accuse the Republicans of doing something. It's a confession on their part. And they're confessing that they're run by billionaires. That's the narrative now. Kenny, how can you make this claim that the Democratic Party is run by billionaires? Well, what's the biggest thing that Chink Yogurt, he just finished talking on the AmFest, about how the donor class rules both parties. Right. So if donors run both parties, it's a confession by the Democrats that they're run by billionaires too. And the funny part is, when you go into the specifics, Democrats love to brag about how they have the educated vote, but they don't like to brag about the fact that the educated people, right, college-educated people tend to have higher incomes than non-college educated people. So inadvertently, they're telling you that the Democrats are the party of the rich. And another point I want to point out, because I got someone in my comment section recently that told me that I am anti-American and that I don't stand up for the working class. And I look at them, I was like, okay, I made the argument that the Republican Party is a working class party more than the Democratic Party is. This commenter seemed more ignorant than when she was entailing. Because if you look at the stats, if you look at how the fundraising that was going on, Democrats raised more money than Donald Trump. Even when Biden won, Biden had raised more money than Donald Trump. How is it possible if the Republican Party is the party for the rich? Like I said, every accusation is a confession, right? But I don't want to pile on here. I want to show you a clip from Bernie Sanders as he's lambasting Elon Musk and pretending that Elon Musk somehow doesn't have a say in what's going on in the government just because he happens to have a lot of money. It's like saying black people can't have a say in the conversation because they're only 30% of the population. They shouldn't have a say of what's going on. Oh, how can we let an unelected African American state what should be done in our country? And he happens to have influence and power. Now we're gonna take issue with him. Like, end of the day, Americans are allowed to comment on what their government is doing. At the end of the day, Elon Musk is a part of this administration. He's not just the wealthiest man. He's acting like Elon Musk is George Soros. George Soros is not participating in the government. Nothing. All he does is throw money. And he's pretending in the background. He's doing all this stuff. And one thing I can respect about the Republican Party versus the Democratic Party is the Republicans are more transparent about, their donors, who they get money from and all that stuff. The Democratic Party, they're less transparent about that. And I say this as an independent. I say this as a non-affiliated voter. That I can see, hey, Republicans are more open about who their alliances are. That's why the Democrats love to hit them for the NRA, the oil, because Republicans are upfront about that. But what about Democrats? They're not upfront about the fact that they're getting paid, the teachers' unions, donations from teacher unions, Wall Street, pharmaceutical companies. The Democratic Party is not open about that. But they're going to pretend, oh, we're people funded. We're people funded. No, you're not. Every accusation is a confession. But I digress. Let's check out what Bernie Sanders has to say, and then I'll kind of rebut why I believe that he has a false framing on what's going on here. Let's take a look.
The wealthiest man in the world, Elon Musk, began tweeting his opposition to this legislation. In fact, he was very blunt about it. He told Republicans that if they voted for this proposal, which they had already agreed to do, he would take out his wallet and spend as much money as it took to defeat them in primaries and drive them out of office. You got that? Take a deep breath and appreciate what's going on here. The wealthiest person in the world, who spent at least $277 million to elect Donald Trump in a Republican Congress, has now claimed complete ownership of that party. And what he is saying is, hey, Republicans, forget your constituents, forget your constitutional responsibilities. If you don't do what I, Elon Musk, want you to do, you're out of office. And I have the money to do just that. My friends, what we are looking at here has nothing to do with democracy. What we are looking at here is oligarchy. This is up and up. Government by the billionaire class for the billionaire class.
So this is a meme that possibly encapsulates everything that's wrong with the framing that Bernie Sanders has. I don't believe Bernie Sanders' criticism of Elon Musk is solely based on fundamentalism. And this is what separates liberals from conservatives. Conservatives are more fundamentalist. We're more principled, right? If we see something wrong on our side and it violates that principle, we'll call them out, right? Because we tend to be more moral, more ethical about our stances than liberals. That's just my interpretation. You can agree, disagree. Hey, look, but this is how I'm calling it like I see it. So if Bernie Sanders' problem is that billionaires have influence in our politics, why doesn't he have problems with George Soros, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, who's known to donate to the Democratic Party? Why he doesn't have problems with them when using their power, their wealth to influence public policy when it comes to health? Bill Gates is a computer science guy. What the hell he knows about vaccines and health and all this stuff? He just has a lot of money. So you don't have problems with him deploying wealth in that manner, Bernie Sanders. And it's always something common with socialists and communists, right? The ends justify the means. If the means are, hey, we could use billionaires to get our end, we'll do it. Even though technically we're supposed to be mad about that. And what I'm trying to highlight here is that Bernie Sanders is not making an objective point. He's merely making a tribal one. It so happens the person he's disagreeing with is the wealthiest man in the world. When in a couple of years ago, it was him or Jeff Bezos. They were fighting neck and neck. Now it's too out of reach for Jeff Bezos to catch up. But let's read the meme. You got enough time to look at the meme. Billionaire Elon Musk advising physical restraint and encouraging taxpayers' engagement. Essentially, that's what Elon Musk did. Elon Musk threw $277 million. Yes, you're correct, Bernie Sanders. He did that. How much money George Soros did. And here's the funny part. George Soros has been doing this kind of thing longer than Elon Musk, but the first time I hear you criticizing a billionaire directly, is Elon Musk. Why? Because he did something that was politically it was politically against you. So that's when you're willing to call it out, because now it's being used against you. But when it was working for you, you were quiet. And this is something that's very empirical to socialists. And if you look at the tendencies of socialists, they always do this. Something's bad until they're a part of it. For instance, 2016, before Bernie Sanders became a millionaire, he used to say, we gotta tax the millionaires and the billionaires. Recently, since he became a millionaire himself, he's only been saying billionaires. Interesting. This is something that's purely common with the left. Something's bad until they're a part of that group. use them as pawns. Billionaires George Soros installing radical DAs who refuse to uphold the law. He's happy about that, though. Things that hurts the constituents. This is why I say that, yo, you socialists, you progressives, you're more anti-American than conservatives, than capitalists. Because you talking about, you want to say, oh, Republicans are working for the working class. When mass immigration comes into a country, who it hurts more? The rich people or the working class? The working class. Mass immigration hurts the working class. So how can you say, when I make the statement that the Republican Party stands more for the working class than the Democratic Party, leftists in my comment section will come out here and say, you don't really stand for the working class? Here's another commenter that I found interesting, and I'll highlight it here. George Soros has spent over $2 billion over the last 4 years. Reid Hoffman has spent hundreds of millions, and Bill Gates has spent hundreds of millions over the last 4 years on Democrats. The Democrats are owned by oligarchs. Correct. Correcto. Dem explain why they don't want billionaires controlling our media unless they are Bezos, Zuckerberg, Gates, Bloomberg, Buffett, or Soros. What all these billionaires have in common? They're Democrats. They're part of the team. The ends justify the means. This is the left wing. This is fundamental to the left wing worldview. Right? And I want people who watch my channel, I want you to be informed about why I hold the positions that I hold, why I advocate for the Republican Party, why I tend to advocate for the conservative solution, the conservative approach to these things, because I know through historical evidence these things don't work. And to end off my point, because black Democrats love to come in my comment section and tell me that conservatives are for the white people. These white people don't care about you. These Republicans don't care about you. And then I'll hit back, and this is me recalling a conversation I had with my liberal cousins. Democrats are the party of the rich. These rich people don't care about you. You poor. What? The rich people are using you like a pawn to their game. The same way they'll criticize black conservatives being used by white people as a pawn in their game. Make it make sense. Every accusation is a confession. Have the Democrats become the party of the rich? If you're waiting for Democrats to talk frankly about wealth as they do about race, don't hold your breath. This is The Nation. I believe they're a left-wing news outlet. Let's talk about it a little bit about some facts. Some recent U.S. figures on the distribution of income by party: 65% of taxpayers' households that earned more than $500,000 per year are now in the Democratic districts. 74% of the households in Republican districts earn less than $100,000 a year. But left-wing commenters in my comment section, Kitty, you're so ignorant on this topic. It's obviously the Republican Party does not work for the interests of the working class. But 74% of households in Republican districts earn less than $100,000. Does that sound working class, or does that sound like elitist to you? While 65% of taxpayers who earn over $500,000, majority of them are in Democratic districts. But Republican parties is not the party of the working class. Update your narrative, liberal. Update your narrative, progressive. Update your narrative, socialist. And I talk about this all the time. Democrats are anti-American. Majority of Americans don't make more than $100,000 a year. Look at how Biden did his fundraising. Trump was able to get his fundraising through small money donations, things that Democrats used to brag about. And Biden and the Democrats, they went to these Hollywood charades. They got to talk to these famous people. They got Lizzo. They got George Clooney. They got all the cabal. They went to the gala. You got AOC going to the gala, these Hollywood circles, these elitist circles, raising millions and millions of dollars. And you're bragging about being the party of the working class? Kiss my... Democrats, y'all delusional. You Democratic voters, sometimes y'all delusional. Sometimes y'all delusional. Y'all would get mad at me for pointing something out, for making a statement. I give my opinion for why I make my statement, and then you try to categorize me as, oh, no, you're not working in the best interest of the working class. How so when 74% of our district makes less than $100,000? And the majority of the people you talk to, they make over $500,000. Democrats always brag about having the educated vote, but educated people with college degrees tend to make more money than people with no college degrees. Yet, Democrats will say uneducated people shouldn't be allowed to vote. AKA, if you don't have a college degree, you shouldn't be able to vote. But if a conservative come out and say, if you're not an American citizen, you should not be allowed to vote, y'all will scream racism, xenophobia. But you don't scream classism when you make this idea that, oh, somehow only educated voters should be allowed to vote in our elections. And then when you pry and ask what constitutes an educated person, it's not the fact that they know what they're voting for and they understand the pros and cons of what they're voting for and they still support it. That's not education to a lib. For a lib, educated means, do you have the proper credentials? And this is why I stand against credentialism, because credentialism don't prove anything really. This is why they always go through stuff like trust the experts, but these experts are politically biased towards your side. Add to what we know already, namely that the 10 richest congressional districts in the country are all Democratic representatives in Congress. The above number incidentally comes from the Internal Revenue Services via Bloomberg and are likely to be more reliable than what's come from Project Veritas via theblaze.com. This is a shot at the right-wing media, but it doesn't matter because I'm using them to prove my point. We have known for some time that dark money, Charles Cove, is answered by the conspiratorious money of Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey, Tim Cook. But y'all don't criticize them. And swelling a chorus of others, none of whom identify Republican. Yet it has been comforting in a way to continue believing that real wealth resides with the old enemy, big oil, big tobacco, and the rest. They were the ultimate source of power that destroyed American societies and politics. The income of their voters aside, Democrats enjoyed the active, constant, and all but above support the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Los Angeles Times, all three of the old television networks, CNN, NPR, and online mainstream of Slate, Salon, the Huffington Post. See, highlighting something. Look at all these advantages. But the Republicans are not working in the benefit of the working class. Okay, you're smoking something. Libs are smoking something today. I don't mean to turn this into a lecture, but look at all the evidence in front of you. Any sentient reader can easily add a dozen more outlets, but along with the benefits of this mutual understanding comes a liability. The warm handshake with a friendly media establishment can grow so familiar that you get out of the habit of seeing what it looks like when you strut your stuff in public and no longer seeing what it looks like. You stop asking what it might look like to people not already on your side. For Barack Obama's 60th birthday, a celebration in the Martha's Vineyard was planned for 500 guests and a staff of 200. Scaled back to minimize the bad optics, the numbers still looked to be in the hundreds, and this at a time when President Biden had been lastly advised Americans to remask and not assemble in large gatherings. This was during COVID. This is the Democratic Party for you. This article was made August 2021. But Democrats are for the working class. Populist progressives shouldn't be supporting the Democratic Party. Either create your own party or you support Donald Trump where you can support Donald Trump. And I find it laughable how many of these people have not updated the reality. Liberals live more in reality. Liberals live more in imagination than they do in reality. They live in an imagination of the Democrats being the working class. But reality keeps showing you time and time again, no, Democrats are the party of the elite. Democrats are the actual party of oligarchy. And because we got Elon Musk, which is the exception, not the rule, to what wealthy Americans in this country do, you mad. It's typical. Elon Musk is equivalent to a black conservative. Because most rich people in this country, in America, vote Democrat, support the Democratic Party. Look at corporate America, DEI, all this woke stuff. If majority of rich people were for the Republican Party, you think wokeism would be a problem like it is now in corporate America? No. But here's the left perpetrating another bad, deceptive narrative. Liberals judge things on their imagination of it, not the reality of it. And the reality of the situation is Republican Party is the party of the working class, is the party of the common American who's not $500,000 rich. Even if you're making six figures, you can't relate to someone making $500,000 a year. That's CEO status. That's doctor status. That's lawyer status. All these people are Democrats. They tend to be Democrats. Yet the criticism is, oh, you're voting against your best interest. How? How am I voting against my best interest? You have media behind you. You have corporate America behind you. Yeah, Democrats are more establishment than Republicans. Republicans vote against each other, battle against each other, public drama online. Look what happened. Willing to disagree with each other and not get kicked out of our party. What happened to AOC? I'll wait. What happened Was it 2018? AOC had the opportunity to do the same thing that Matt Gaetz did to Kevin McCarthy. And what she did, she folded. But y'all want to sit here and lecture to me how Democrats are the party of the working class? Get the F out of here. Get out of my face. You want to try to wag your fingers at me, a black man, because, oh, kid, you vote for Republicans. So effing what? I'm allowed to do whatever the hell I want to do because I'm an American first. I'm an individual first. And just because most of my people tend to do something doesn't mean I have to do it. This false sense of a consensus. Get the F out of here. Your argument needs to holds more weight than just all the black people do it. You should do it too, Kenny. No. All the black people worry about racism. You should worry about it too. No. Look at the outcomes. Look at the reality. It don't match the theory that you put the paper on. Like, it don't match. Racism holding you back? No, it's not. I'm 28 years old. I'm a homeowner. That makes me an exception to the rule. What's so different between me and the average black man? I made different decisions. But, I digress. I'm done ranting. Do you agree with my synopsis? I think I laid out the case pretty strongly. And if you don't agree with me, at least you know where I'm coming from. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree with me and Democrats are the party of the elite, are the party of the establishment, are the party of the rich? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd like to hear what you guys are thinking about this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.